Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called Forska by developer Todd Furmansky. It's a little bit of a difficult one to classify, and I think honestly that is usually the best place that I want to inhabit when it comes to making videos for Indie Impressions. I would liken this to sort of, if you can imagine, take something like Proteus, render it out, give it like a big old massive 3D landscape, and then take it all and turn it into screenshots. So you're sort of wandering around in this sort of point-and-click Myst-style adventure where we can wander anywhere we want, but it's still a procedurally generated landscape, and it's still based on an actual 3D rendered place. It just kind of cuts them up and turns them into impressionist images, so it actually gives you a whole different essence and a bit of a different vibe as well about the landscape that you happen to inhabit. So before we get started here, there's a few things we want to take a quick look at. We can click on the landscape to move to that point. We can click on the sides of the screen to turn in place. Click on the bottom of the screen to take small steps. Click on the lower corners to directly turn around. And press the space bar to have time pass, and then H to see this message again. So that would be our help message, I suppose. So this is randomly generated. Everywhere we go is going to have its own little world about it. And wow, that's actually quite a stunning picture all in itself right there. We've got a landscape that goes off into the distance quite a ways. We've got a little bit of water over on the left. We've got a dotting of trees. And then you can see with the passage of time, it's actually got some very subtle and quite pretty shading that's happening as well. So I'm going to kind of turn slowly in place and just see what we can get as far as images around us. Now it looks like most of the more notable things that are off in the distance are going to be bright spots of color. So I guess we'll head off in that direction. It is a little bit tough to judge at times how far you're actually traveling when you make a move, when you click through things. And I think that's one thing that maybe, you know, if this is to get refined or, you know, worked on more, and I believe it is, it lists itself as an experiment in the download page. I think that would be a thing that would definitely need a little bit of work maybe. Maybe the distance you click based on where you click on the ground, like the further away from the bottom of the screen, the further you would travel or something like that, because it is nice to be able to blink across the landscape, but at the same time also could be a bit confusing as well. The other thing that I think would definitely benefit this quite a bit is a little hint of some ambient sound effects. I mean, if you're near water, have a little bit of wave lapping sound. If you're near a foresty area, maybe add some birds chirping or crickets or whatever you want, something like that. Rustling stone sounds when you're in this sort of castle bastion type area. And it's actually quite cool here. If we find the right spot, we should be able to see the sun go down, and then the lighting effects will change very drastically as the sun comes back up. And I'll just sort of advance time here for you so you can see the passage happen from a very violet dusk to a deep dark night, and then the sun should pop up any second, and there we go. Look at how pretty that is as we go from the early morning into the mid-morning. That's actually really quite subtle and beautiful. We've got a bright, stark contrast going on from the left side of the wall to the right, and then as the sun moves overhead, the ground actually becomes much, much more illuminated. The effect that gives us this painterly, impressionistic quality is actually very well done, and I think this is a very interesting and unique experience that I haven't quite ever seen done before, at least in this way. I mean, I've certainly seen games like Myst that attempt to, you know, give us a pre-rendered environment and turn it into stills, but in this case, the pre-rendered environment was actually generated on the fly, which is a very different experience than something like Myst, where everything is completely plotted out before we have the advantage of, you know, seeing where things go. Now, I should mention there is a bit of an enigmatic quality to this before you jump to conclusions. You might see this and go, oh, so it's just another, like, walking simulator. There's not really much to see or do here. As far as I can tell, it's actually not correct. There does seem to be some sort of inscriptions, some figures that we might run into. In fact, there might even be some warped portals that could take us to other worlds, so I'm very excited to see what kind of adventures we could get into here in the world of Forska. And I hope we can run into some of that stuff in what is likely to be a fairly short video here today. Mostly I just wanted to introduce the concept and show you how cool this is. I'm just imagining something like Skyrim with this effect over it. I mean, seeing this rendered in real time would just be freaking unbelievable. I mean, I hope that's something that maybe we could see someday, and you know, maybe it's even possible right now. I just don't think I've ever seen a filter quite this robust that actually gives us, you know, this level of granular quality to the paint strokes, as well as the shading really hits on quite dead on. I'm not sure where I should go. I don't see any pink portals off in the distance, which is, I think, one of the things we want to look for if we're trying to make a journey to another world. And I haven't hardly played any of this, by the way, so in case anybody thinks I'm jumping too far ahead, I only know there's pink involved because of a screenshot I've maybe played about 35 seconds of this prior to the video starting, and that was just for me to realize there was no sound, so I didn't have to get sound balance in this at all. We keep running into this bastion castle area, and I wonder if there's a reason for it. Maybe it's ruins, but I don't see much else going on. Look at the lighting on these trees. They almost look like they're glowing. Is that supposed to be snow? I can't quite tell why they're so white like that. Could just be, exaggerated, artistic license to give those an extra bit of pop to them. It certainly gives this actually a bit of character, even just beyond the filter itself. Looking impressionistic is one thing, but having a little bit of your own flair is taking it to another level entirely. I kind of hope we can find something cool, though. Let's maybe get up atop somewhere high so we can get a look down. I like that filter, that fade effect, too, between each shot that we have. We can actually see that it just sort of phases us forward in a subtle way, which is kind of neat. It actually blends really well with the style of the painting as well, just having that gentle transition instead of something more jarring. And I think that also lends us to give us a bit of an ethereal quality as we move from one shot to the next, which is, I think, a feeling that is pervading this whole experience, and I think is kind of intrinsic to the point. Oh, I see some pink off in the distance. Why don't we head over there? Okay, so the one problem I kind of do have, though, with this hazy transition, and I just complimented it, but also it can be very easy to lose your placement if you don't know exactly where your character is going to end up when you click, which seems to happen pretty frequently. Yeah, I don't quite know where I was going anymore, and it looks like that pink thing off in the distance seems to have evaporated. There's so much detail that's just buried within whatever curves there are that you can't quite make out off in the distance. It's a kind of a dreamscape of a thing, and it's hazy in a positive way, but it's also hazy in a negative way, so I guess there's either direction you could take that to. Like in this case, I feel like I'm climbing up this hill forever. Okay, so it's there. Very evidently there. So can we just, like, get down to the ground, and, okay, so it's slightly off over there. Just go past, and it should be over to our left. I'll turn, I don't see it. So I've turned in a circle now. It's maybe the turning radius is actually too sharp, and I can't actually make out whatever this detail might be. Oh, is that it? I see some pink again over in this direction. I want to just sort of slightly turn, but that's too far. Oh no. Okay, this is the closest we've gotten so far. What a strange challenge. But actually, that's kind of a nice feature, the fact that at night, you can see these beacons so much more brightly. Alright, it looks like we're going to go in and see where we go. We're going to go to world 123401, so please wait. So an entirely different world awaits us. Let's climb up and see what we've got. Some kind of snowy landscape, perhaps? It looks like things are frozen. Oh, this is cool. Let's advance time and see if the daylight sheds a little bit more understanding on what we're looking at here. Oh, that's sweet. That looks like a glacier or something off in the distance. Okay, now actually I'm starting to think we're in the clouds. Are we in the clouds? Are we up above everything? I really can't tell. No, it looks like it's just snowy mountains. But it really does also look like clouds as well. I mean, you can't argue with me, right? Yeah, there probably wouldn't be trees growing on top of the clouds. Look at that bright hint of the turquoise there up against where it meets the shore. That's really pretty. I'm tempted to just keep looking around for stuff. There's probably inscriptions we could find. There might be other portals. I'd love to see what other worlds we might be able to discover. But right now, I think, you know what? I'm probably going to cut this fairly short just because I want to leave some of that mystery open for everybody. That's probably the portal I just came out of, but, just for the sake of argument, let's go back through 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8. Yeah, that's totally the same area, right? I remember there were these, like, concentric circle lakes before we went in. But how cool is this concept? I mean, I would also love to see it in real time also, but, like, at the same time, I'm torn because both sides have their own cool element to them. So I'd love to hear what your opinions are actually on this one, because this is one that I really have a lot of trouble making judgment of any kind over. I don't really feel like there's a lot of criticism to be had other than the little objective details that I feel would really help improve this a lot, or, well, they're subjective in my head, but I wish they were objective, I suppose. Adding a little bit of ambient sound, maybe making it a little clearer where your character's moving when you click, and, other than that, it's freaking beautiful. So yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this in general. Feel free to go grab Forska as well if you'd like to. There's both a Mac and a PC build. I'll have the link for you in the description as I always do. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it. That will help keep this series running for a long time yet to come. And a new episode of Indie Impressions will continue to go up daily. So I look forward to hearing from you on this one, and I hope to see you again for another episode tomorrow. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you all later.